again, welcome back. Here we are, lesson 2, part 2 of lesson 2 of Advanced CSS. And in the last video, we talked about fonts and common fonts stacks using system fonts. Let's talk about custom fonts now. How would you use a custom font, right? So custom fonts bring up a couple issues, right? So you can't just give people a font. Fonts are designed by people. They own the rights to them. You can think of fonts as like, hit songs by designers, right? So it's like a designer designs a font, they're like Taylor Swift, but their font is like their song, right? And you can license the song, so you can play it at your party or for whatever event you're putting on, but you can't just give it away to people, right? And fonts are the same way, right? So if you have a font that you want to use for a website, you have to be the copyright owner for that font. I'm not going to get into all the copyright issues, but that is an issue, okay? You have to pay for the rights to use them, right? Use the fonts. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Google Fonts. So Google provides 1,052 fonts. That's like a lot of fonts, right? Okay. And they have an open license, so they allow us to use those fonts. So it's easy for us to use these. We don't have to worry about any of the legal issues, okay? I'm going to go to Google Fonts right now. I'm going to follow this link. And here's the list of Google Fonts right here. We can scroll through these. They look pretty good. Google's been doing this thing where they kind of create fonts that look like popular designer fonts. They're very similar, and then they kind of make them free. I don't know if that's exactly a good thing. It's good for me, right? I don't know if it's good for other designers, right? They do pay a designer to make the fonts. So, and some of these a lot of these are actually original too, right? But let's take a look. So these are all pretty good right here, They have like a lot of fonts, right? And like I said, there's 1,052. You could scroll through these for days. If I go to the top here, you can use search. You can also search by category, language, and font properties. So if I go to category, I could say, you know what? I'm really looking for a sans serif, right? And that lowers my font to 320, or my list to 321 of 1,052 families, right? Still a lot of fonts. Maybe I want to look for a font that supports one of these languages. Actually, I don't need that. Let's look for font properties. Number of styles. Let's say we want, I want something with 18 styles. So that gives me 22 fonts, right? Okay. So that's actually kind of an easy one to look through. But anyway, here's all the fonts. This one looks kind of crazy right here. Why don't we take a look at this one? There's Public Sans. That's not bad. This is pretty good. Montserrat Alternates, right? This one looks a little weird. Like, I don't know. Like some of the fonts, when you look at them, they're going to be good for headlines, right? But they're not going to be good for small type. So this font might look good here, but it might not look good down here, if that makes any sense, right? These are all the styles right here. So these are the weights. So this is the 100 weight, the 200 weight, the 300 weight, or actually I guess this is the 200 italic, 300 italic, right? So this has a lot of styles. And then here's like the 600 weight, the 700, 800, and 900, right? Okay, so how would you use this font? Let's take a quick look, right? So you can actually download the font itself. Better is to let Google serve it. So we'll just link to it and pull it off their server, okay? Let me do that in a moment because I realize there's actually a few other links here that we can look at, right? A good one to look at is font pairings. So pairings are suggested fonts. It's kind of like suggesting a wine that goes with your fish, right? Or whatever you're eating, or, like a beer that goes with your hamburger, right? So what they're doing here is they're showing me, Montserrat right here as a headline, and then they're saying like, hey, it pairs well with Roboto, right? So there's Roboto there, right? I'm going to click this little button there, and what it's going to do is it's going to swap the two. So it's going to show Montserrat here as the body copy, and then Roboto as the headline, right? So that looks okay. Actually, it doesn't look too bad at a small size there, but maybe I'm going to flip it like this, right? And then maybe I want to check the headline here because the regular weight is not quite right. I want to do the extra light, or maybe the, what does that look like with extra bold? That doesn't look too bad, right? You know, I don't know, maybe I could go with that, right? But anyway, this is kind of a nice little feature that they give us so we can kind of, you know, preview our font and kind of, you know, get a feel for what it's going to look like without actually having to implement it yet, okay? So you should go through the Google fonts and find a font that you want to try out on your Zen Garden page, okay? So you can stop this video here and then look for a font and then start the video again, and I'll go over how to use the Google font. Okay, great. So you got your font. I think I'm going to stick with this one, though. You know what's weird to me is that I don't like that uppercase T, you know, where it has that kind of arc to it. I don't know. I'm going to go with this one anyway. So there's a couple ways we can use this. We can download it here and you can have it locally on your computer, but that's not going to be good for the web. I want to be able to share this with everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this link here. Actually, where is that link? There's a little button where you can add the font. Where did they put that? I totally lost the link. Maybe I got to go to where? Sorry about that. I totally lost my font here. Maybe I got to go back here. No, where did I put that thing? Did I screw this up? Let me see here. Oh, you know what? I forgot. You got to click on these little plus buttons to get all the styles. I was looking for one that grabbed them all. Maybe I want the super bold one. I want the regular one. And I want the extra light or thin. So I'm going to get that one, right? And I don't need the italic one. I'm going to grab this one, 900 black. Maybe I want this one too, right? So they do this so it'll be a smaller download, right? So if you don't get all the typefaces or all the different weights, then you can just get the one weight, right? The thing is, the computer can bold a font, but it doesn't do as good a job as it would do if we got the actual drawing of the typeface at a different weight. And this is why designers get paid a lot of money to make these fonts, right? But anyway, now that I've selected my fonts, clicking the plus button here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top here to this little thing, and it's going to show me the fonts that I have selected, right? And there's a couple ways we can get this, right? Again, like I said, you can download what you want there or download all here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this link tag, okay? And there's a couple ways to use this. You can do link or you can do @import, okay? So link, if you're just going to link in your style sheet, this is kind of the better option. But in our case, we're not allowed to edit the Zen Garden page. So what we're going to do is we're going to import this font inside our style sheet. And so to do that, I'm going to use the @import right here. So I'm going to choose this, and it kind of gives me this style tag. We're going to remove that, okay? So I'm going to copy this code here, and I'll go to my page here and open it up in my browser or in my editor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my style sheet here, and at the top of the style sheet, actually let me get rid of all this stuff right there that's left over from last time. I'm going to paste this, and I'm going to remove this style tag, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm using the @import directive, and then I said URL, and I'm including this URL to Google's fonts server, okay? And then it kind of has some stuff on the end here that tells it which font to get and what weight to get, okay? So that imports the font. Now to use the font, we have to set it up so we can use it. So I'm going to copy the second CSS rule down at the bottom here. So I'll copy this thing, right? And I'll paste this in here right like that, right? But this is what we're going to use. So anywhere we want to use Montserrat alternates, we're going to use this font family CSS rule, okay? So this is looking pretty good. Let me open up my web page again in the browser. I'll do it again with live server. Oops, I got the style sheet. You can't open that in the browser. I'm going to open the HTML page. Okay, there we go, right? So here's my page. This is what it looked like last time, but maybe I want to use the custom font for these headings, right? So I want to make these headings use that custom font, right? So let me go to my style sheet here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this thing, and maybe I'll do maybe I'll make the whole page that font. Hey, that doesn't look too bad, right? Maybe a little too heavy here, right? And now here's a little note, right? If we use an H1 or an H3, it comes with font weight bold as part of its style. But if I'm using a font family like this and I'm using one of the weights available, then I probably don't want to use font weight bold, or I want to set the font weight to one of the weights that I've imported, right? So maybe on this one, I'm going to set this guy to font weight. I think I got 600 as the font weight, so I'm going to choose that. Yeah, I guess that's the 600 weight, right? And then remember, I wanted these guys to be font weight 100. I guess it already caught that, right? So I think I'm good there, right? I did lighter, but I think I imported the 100 weight, okay? So I'll mark that as 100. But anyway, that's how we'd use Google Fonts in our web page, okay? So what you should do now is try to go through the Google Fonts server here and pick out a couple fonts that you like, right? You know, it's not good to do like 4 or 5 or 6 fonts. Stick with one font with a couple different weights, right? Like we have here, or do 2 fonts where you're going to pair them together using one font for the headline and one font for the body, okay? Right? And then apply those fonts to your style sheet using @import, right? And then use the fonts in your styles, right? And don't forget to set the font weight, right? Make sure you pay attention to the font weight when you set this, okay? So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that that's interesting and helps you make a better looking web page. Try that out, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about a couple other things, and then that'll be it for this lesson. And the homework is to complete your Zen Garden page, okay?